let's talk about something that might completely change how you see a child who's struggling in school. It's this powerful idea that moves away from blame and frustration and instead helps us understand the child as a complete, interconnected system. Okay, let's start right here with this core idea. We often think of strength as just endurance. How much pressure can a kid take before they break? But what if real strength isn't about that at all? What if it's about having an internal system that can take a hit, a bad grade, a tough day, and not collapse? That little shift in thinking, it's the key to everything.
All right, so where does this journey usually begin for a parent? Well, for a lot of us, it starts right here with what's so often the wrong diagnosis. It's the story we tell ourselves when we see our kids struggling.
I'm sure this picture is painfully familiar to some of you. You see the symptoms, right? They're right there in front of you. The slipping grades, the homework that never gets turned in, the fact that you have to remind them of the same thing over and over. It can feel like this daily, exhausting battle. And after weeks or maybe even months of this, it is so easy to land on this one simple, painful conclusion: he's just not trying. It feels like a problem of effort, right? Laziness, maybe. But what if that's not the real story at all? What if we're looking at the wrong battlefield entirely? Seriously, what if the assignments and the teachers and the report cards, what if they aren't the real enemy here? And that brings us to the real struggle. See, the battle isn't external. It's happening somewhere we can't see it. It's happening inside the child. This is where we have to flip the script. That child is fighting. They are putting in a ton of effort every single day. But that energy isn't going towards their math homework. It's all being used up in this internal war, a fight against a system that is failing them from the inside out.
So what do we mean by a system? Well, think of it like the child's internal operating system. It's this whole complex network that connects their brain, focus, memory, with their emotional state and their physical body. When the system is running smoothly, they can thrive. But when it's glitching, they struggle.
So what does a system failure actually look like? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a chain reaction. It's the brain being so overwhelmed it literally can't focus. It's powerful emotions like anxiety getting in the way and messing with their memory. And it's the sheer physical exhaustion that comes from being stuck in this constant internal state of alert. And here's the tough part. We have to look at how we're responding. When we see these symptoms, our gut instinct is often to push harder, right? More tutoring, stricter rules, more pressure. But what we're actually doing is just piling more and more weight onto a system that's already buckling. And that approach, well, it has some really serious consequences. If we keep overloading a failing system, we're not just dealing with bad grades anymore. We're putting a child's whole future development at risk. The cost of continuing down this path it's devastating. Think about it. After a year of this, he might just shut down completely. After 2 years, he'll probably stop asking for help, because what's the point? And after 3 years, he might actually become afraid of himself, convinced that he's just fundamentally broken. But, and this is a huge but, this is not a life sentence. It doesn't have to be this way. This is where the story can turn. We can reboot the system. Here's the good news. That downward spiral, it is not inevitable. We can choose a totally different path, one where we stop piling on the pressure and we start building a foundation of real, lasting strength. So what's the goal here? It's a complete system transformation. We want to go from a brain that can't focus to a brain that knows how to concentrate. We want to shift from a memory that's a source of pain and failure to one that's a source of support. And we want to move from thinking that's driven by fear to thinking that is a calm, conscious choice. That's what a strong system looks like. And this leads us to the final and maybe the most empowering part of this whole idea. It completely redefines the role of a parent. So listen to this. Your job is not to be a micromanager, chasing down assignments and nagging about chores. No, your true role is to be an architect. You're not just managing today's crisis, you are building the resilient internal system your child is going to rely on for the rest of their life. So if our job is to be the architect, what are we building toward? What does the finished project look like? What is the real end goal of all this work? And there it is. That's the whole ballgame. The goal isn't to fix every problem for them forever. It's to build a system so well designed, so strong, that it eventually runs all on its own. It's about empowering our kids with the internal strength to hold up under impact, long after we've stepped away from the architect's table.